so much that he's doing. It's like, how would he have a chance to run the business and whatnot? So sucks that you have to rely on Mercury. He was Rattler's son sideline. He did Rattler's play-by-play for Cox. This I remember this being weird last year. This season. So hopefully we'll get a chance. Hey, you tell us when we're good to go. Right after they run out onto the field, we'll get started. All right, well, let's get stuck into this. Kind of just pregame stuff. Talk Chandler. Coming off a tough win against a team that is one of the top in the state, Centennial in Division Two. Was kind of they saw some things that they liked, saw some things that they needed to improve on, and they looked to implement that tonight. And I don't know, just follow my lead. We've done this enough together. We'll start right at the 2-minute mark on the scoreboard. And welcome into Chandler High School on Sports360AZ.com. Chandler High School taking on the Buena Colts coming up from Sierra Vista, Arizona. As the Chandler Wolves look to go 2-0 on the season, the Buena Colts trying to iron their first win of the season during a gauntlet of a schedule that they have over their first 5 games. My name is Jared Cohen, joined by Ben Gabrielson tonight. Going to be bringing you the play-by-play of this game as the Chandler Wolves run onto the field, looking to do some things this season that they have not yet accomplished in their school history, but they feel like they have the talent, the coaching staff in place, the players. Ben, they are eyeing to do things that they've never done before, and they feel like they've got everything in place.
On paper, they do. This team is about as good as a Chandler Wolves team is going to get, depth-wise. Defensively, they're a little bit young, but last week, they showed that they could hold up against one of the best in the state in Centennial. This team has what it takes to get there. It's just they got to take it one game at a time. It starts with last week, tonight. I know Buena is not probably up to the scale that they're going to face in the Mountain Points and the Hamiltons across the state, and they really have to keep their focus, find ways to get better in these types of games. With college football and high school football, I see it all the time. There's just not that preseason. This is them coming out. This is only the second week that this team has played together in a competitive environment. So anything that they can squeeze out of this game to get better is only going to be good for the Wolves going forward.
Yeah, and you talk about the fact that it's game number 2. There's no preseason games. You spend so much time over the course of the off season, and you spend so much time with summer workouts, spring workouts, fall workouts, and trips to Blue Ridge, which Chandler likes to do, to only play 10 games. You only have 10 shots at it, and you have to learn as you go, and that's exactly what, to allude to your point, is what the Wolves and the Buena Colts are out to do here today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how much are we going to see Bryce Perkins tonight? How much are we going to see Chase Lukes tonight? Maybe just a half, maybe just a quarter, but as seniors, especially for Perkins especially, I mean, you got to soak it in. This, like you said, only 10 games in the regular season. This is the last time he's going to put on a Chandler uniform this year. So, soak it all in, get better, find a way to take positives out of this game instead of just kind of coasting through. And I don't think Coach Iguano is going to let him do that.
Buena won the toss. They will receive. And they will be going right to left as you watch here on the stream on sports360az.com. The Buena Colts, they're 0-2, taking on the Chandler Wolves, who are 1-0 on the season. You look at this Buena Colts team, Ben, as mentioned, they've had a gauntlet of the schedule. They were up here in the Valley last weekend to face Corona del Sol, which came up with a tough 3-point loss. The week before that, they played the defending Division II champion Sal Point Lancers, which was a little bit of a tough one for the Colts. They're dealing with a lot of adversity because their starting quarterback has been out with an injury, and it's kind of been a kind of quarterback by committee since then, but they're going to be going with Braxton Bennett at quarterback tonight, big number 15, and they're just trying to develop and trying to hone in these guys until their quarterback is ready to return to the field.
Yeah, a big switch for them going into that power run, power I type offense this year. So that will help, take a little bit of pressure off the quarterback. They do like to hand the ball off. They will throw it out of that formation, though. So we'll see how they handle that tonight. Chandler's defense, another good test for that type of power I formation, though, like they saw last week in Centennial. Yeah, probably not the same talent, though.
Probably not. Probably not. You talk about, though, the defense for Chandler as we're about to get ready to kick things off. 9 new starters from a season ago on the Chandler defense. We'll get to see some of those players in this game. Set to kick it away, and we're off. A squibble kick down to about the 10-yard line played by the Colts. Has some room to run, and blockers ahead of him. That's a solid return right there out to about the 38-yard line, where it's a very good field position for the Buena Colts. And as mentioned, their quarterback tonight, Braxton Bennett, filling in for the injured Buena quarterback, Jordan Haymore. And the guy to watch on the offensive side of the ball for the Buena Colts, none other than 6'3", 180-pound receiver Deontay Williams, number 5. He's the big playmaker on their team. Someone that Coach Aguano told me earlier this week that he is the guy, one guy on their team that he is definitely concerned about on the offensive side of the football for the Colts.
Yeah, they're going to try and get the ball to him early and often.
Running that power formation like we talked about. They hand the ball off. That's a nice stop in the backfield, the tackle right there. Cody Shear was the one that ran the ball on that play, but a nice play in the backfield right there to bring him back to the 35-yard line.
Yeah, I think that was Hale coming up from his corner position, or outside linebacker position to make that play.
So a loss of 4 on the play makes it 2nd and 14 on the opening drive of the football game. To the left of Bennett. And he's back to throw early. Quick strike to the outside to Deontay Williams. Right on cue a play ago. Gets back to about the 40-yard line for a gain of 5 yards. Makes it 3rd and 9. But they're trying to set the tempo and set the initiative early to get Deontay Williams, their top playmaker, the football.
Yeah, we'll see how the Chandler Wolves will play him. They played him pretty much up at the line of scrimmage the first play, but slacked off a few yards there, gave him a little bit of a curl window there, and Buena was able to take advantage.
He'll have 2 to the right this time for Bennett under center. Showing blitz for the Wolves, and they're bringing the pressure. Pressure all over the place, over the field, thrown behind the intended receiver. That's Giovanni Ortega. And that'll make it a 3-and-out for the Buena Colts on their first offensive possession of the game.
They had Williams one-on-one on the far side of the field, but elected to go with the seam route up the middle, and it was not to be. So they will go 3-and-out, and here's the first punt for Buena.
And back to receive for the Chandler Wolves, Terrell Flanagan. And next to him, Danny Mahan, Danny the Man Mahan, going to be signing with NAU. They said this is going to be a tough guy to replace. You'll see all the depth that Chandler has at the wide receiver position, but this is a guy that Coach Aguano just absolutely loves, and he runs backwards. A nice punt inside the 10 and stops at the 5-yard line to the 4. Fantastic punt right there for Buena, as Chandler will have tough field position to get things started here.
Well, they did their job and flipped the field. We'll see how this Colts defense can hold up here against the high-powered Wolves offense, but they're going to have a long ways to go now.
Seema Groves, the defensive back, but also the kicker for this Buena Colts team, the one that pins the Wolves back to their own 4-yard line, where Bryce Perkins and the Chandler Wolves take over on offense for the first time today. It was a fun offseason for Bryce Perkins, commits to Arizona State University to be an in-state guy, staying true to ASU, and now he's the much anticipated senior year for him about to get underway. And they'll hand the ball off to Chase Lucas, has a big hole, tries to get through 2 defenders. The last men to beat were able to stop him at just about the first down marker, gets to about the 15-yard line, more than enough for a first down.
Great push there by the Wolves offensive line. If they can get that kind of push all night, they might as well just run downhill with Lucas because they're not stopping. They push the defensive line back about 3 yards.
Deontay Youngblood, the one that made the stop that might have saved a touchdown. They're doing end around to Flanagan, has some blocks, crosses the 40. Now has one man to beat, that's Youngblood. He gets past him and then taken down from behind across the 50 to the 45-yard line. Terrell Flanagan with a nice carry, the senior on the end around, gets the Wolves in motion into Buena Colts territory.
Nice play there by the Wolves. They went up the middle, very successful, then come around with the end around. A lot of speed on those edges for the Wolves.
Gain of 45 for Flanagan, 1st and 10 Wolves. Perkins back to throw again, has all the time in the world. Looking deep down the field, has a man just overthrown. It looked to be Flanagan yet again. And that'll make it 2nd down.
Yeah, had all the time in the world. Had a couple of guys streaking down towards the near sideline, just a little bit out of the reach.
And that was Flanagan in the slot. And Buena, they're used to the spread. They used to run the spread for their offense. They switched to the power I, but their defense that's still there knows it well. Chase Lucas got some running room. Crosses the 25, has a blocker ahead of him. The 10, the 5, touchdown, Chandler Wolves on their first offensive drive of the game. Chase Lucas takes it from 45 yards out.
Well, we said they had to go the length of the field. They did that in about 4 plays. So the Chandler Wolves are coming out firing.
And the credit the offensive line running to the right side of the field, Dustin Woodward and also Matt Menlove, the two on the right side of the offensive line, created space for Lucas to do what he does best, and that's run.
Yeah, typically you think of the left side of the line being the stronger side, left tackle, left guard, but that right side got a great push for 3 straight plays there. And like you said, Woodyard, from play 1 until then, he had a great push on his guy.
Daniel Lovett's extra point is up and through. So with 9:32 left in the opening quarter, the Chandler Wolves score on their first possession of the game. They lead it 7-0 on a 45-yard touchdown for Chase Lucas. Now this Chandler offense is about as good as advertised, and we saw that on the first drive.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see with them. A lot of read option around the ends, going up the seams. Very deep at the wide receiver position. Chase Lucas is one of the best in the state. This Chandler Wolves offense is very potent. They're going to find ways to get their playmakers the ball, spread it around. They've always had talent on the offensive end. It's just now it seems that they're getting a little bit more structure to it, a little bit more balanced in that run, pass, attack, and Bryce Perkins is definitely the man to coordinate it all.
So the key for Buena now is to not dig yourself into too much of a hole early. 4 plays, as you mentioned, Ben, on the first drive for Chandler to get their first score. And Buena, a team that has dealt with some injuries, is going through a new era of their program under interim head coach Bryce Burnbeck. And they're a team with a lot of athleticism and just trying to get the buy-in from the players, and so far the buy-in has been positive, but they've faced some adversity here early. Another squib kick from Lubitz, and another solid return from the 10-yard line all the way out to the 30. So for 2 consecutive offensive possessions, the Buena Colts start off with solid field position.
Yeah, and Coach Burnbeck told you before the game that they have offense, or they have the athletes. It's just sometimes they maybe get in their own head a little bit, don't play a little bit, think too much out on the field, don't read and react, which is always what you're taught to do. So we'll see if they maybe can get those jitters out here early and make this a little bit of a contest. Right now they're going to need to move the ball, though, and try to flip that field again, because that's really the only chance that the Colts will have.
Another guy, in addition to Deontay Williams, is Giovanni Ortega. We called his name on that first drive as that ball intended to him, that his first target was a little bit behind him, but he's a playmaker that Burnbeck is a big fan of. Hand the ball off to Shear on the first play of the game. tries to get to the outside, but there is a wall of Chandler Wolves that pushes him backwards in the opposite direction. Great pursuit by the Chandler defense on that play.
Yeah, the speed, the team speed on defense is going to be key for Chandler. Like I said, last week they played that power run. Maybe a little bit more talent there for Centennial, but they didn't handle it well in the first half. And Centennial kind of got away from the run after the first half. Second half maybe went to the air a few too many times, and Chandler was able to get back in the ball game. So we'll see how they handle a steady dose of that power run now that Buena's going to have.
2nd down and 7. They credited Shear with 3 yards on that carry. Bennett will keep it himself right there, and the quarterback keeper gets to about the 40-yard line, so a gain of about 2 on the play. And I want to say Byron Buxton for some reason. It's Braxton Bennett. Different sport, but still as impressive of an athlete, I should say.
Yeah.
But a solid gain. It'll be about a yard, they'll credit. And it'll make it 3rd down, and the Colts now will try to avoid their 2nd consecutive 3-and-out to start this game.
Yeah, I think Buxton's on the DL.
He is. He is. Braxton Bennett, not on the DL.
Very much playing.
3rd and 6, 8 minutes left here in the opening quarter. Bennett on the option. He's going to keep it himself, trying to get around some Chandler defender, but not much room to do so. That'll bring up 4th down for the Colts.
It's tough to do, but you got to get north and south on this defense. Playing sideline to sideline, they're just too fast. You can see they're having some space up at least at the point of attack, but the team speed, if you're going sideways, is just too much right now. You got to get up the field.
So after a gain of 1, makes it 4th and 5 for Buena. So Sema Groves back in to kick. Back to receive is Flanagan and Mahan. Groves kicked it inside the 5-yard line last time. Here's another solid kick. Mahan's going to let it bounce, and it's going to be picked up at the 27-yard line, where the Wolves, who went 4 plays and a touchdown last drive, will look to be just as efficient this time around.
Yeah, Groves, again, had nice spin on that punt. A little bit of a rugby style, but also got very good rotation on the ball.
And that ball, when it hits the ground, just sticks. Not a lot of rolling. I think Mahan was anticipating that ball to roll to him a little bit. Instead, it stuck, kind of like when you take a sand wedge or a pitching wedge from about 100 out to try to stick it on the green. At least that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
When I'm hitting the ball. It doesn't always work out that way. It seems like Groves has got that figured out, though, with his leg.
I like to work the ball left to right. I'm more of a ball striker, so. But
short game, not really your thing.
No, not my thing.
1st and 10 Wolves. Bryce Perkins will keep it himself this time, and he's roughed up right there as he gets to about the 30-yard line. Good job by the defensive line that time around. For a minimal game, that was 50. Anderson Schmig making the stop for the Buena Colts, makes it after a gain of 3, 2nd and 7.
Yeah, Schmig shed a block and got to Perkins right away. Good tackle in open space.
2 to the right, 2 to the left of Perkins with Chase Lucas hanging by his side. They'll send Flanagan in motion. He had a 45-yard end-around run on the first drive. They hand it off to Lucas up the gut. Again, nice pursuit and penetration from the defensive line of the Buena Colts as Chase Lucas is stopped for about a gain of 2 on the play. Makes it 3rd down for Chandler.
Yeah, nice play there by the left end, Seth Dozier. He got in the backfield right away, made the tackle. Buena now at least showing some fight here, especially in the trenches.
3rd and 4 now for Chandler. They didn't have a 3rd down on their first drive of the game, which saw them go 94 yards for the score. Quick throw to the outside. It's caught across the 40 to the 45-yard line. Nice pitch and catch right there from Bryce Perkins to Justin Jan. Now, this is a guy that Coach Aguano is just ecstatic about. Was someone who was a little further down the depth chart last season with Deontay Sykes, Elijah Sykes, Mitch McCauley, but Justin Jan, the senior, has emerged as one of the top receivers for the Wolves this season. As they'll hand the ball off to Chase Lucas on a stretch play, has some room to run this time, about a gain of 8, short of a 1st down.
The thing I love about Chase Lucas is he always finishes his runs. He's kind of known as a speedster. Can obviously beat you, has very good quickness, but really finishes his runs very well.
And going back to Justin Jan, who had the catch before Lucas had that run, of all the players that Aguano has on the outside on offense, he said Jan is the go-to guy, which is saying a lot.
Wow.
Perkins looking deep, has a man, and it's caught by Flanagan for the touchdown. 47-yard pitch and catch from Bryce Perkins to Terrell Flanagan, and 2 drives and 2 scores for the Chandler Wolves.
Yeah, that was too easy. He had about 3 or 4 different options on that play. Pretty much streaks all the way around. Mahan was open down at the bottom, but he chose to go to Flanagan, and he made the catch. And all of a sudden now, about 9 plays run, it's going to be 14-0 here in favor of the Wolves.
And now Lubitz is in for the extra point to try to make it 14-0 with 5:16 left. And it's through. So with 5:16 left, Chandler Wolves 14, Buena Colts nothing here in the first quarter. So, Ben, now you look at the Buena Colts here, and in about 9 plays, as you mentioned, find themselves in quite a pickle here to start things off.
Yeah, not the way you want to start the game on the road against a team, probably the #1 team in the state right now. Pretty big hole to dig out of, especially for an offense that's missing its starting quarterback.
Lovitz will set to kick it away, and he's kicked kind of some squibbers on the first 2 kicks for this game, which have resulted in solid field position for Buena, but they haven't been able to capitalize. This time it's a big kick from Lubitz that goes into the end zone for a touchback. Now, we see running onto the field, Ben, number 15 for the Chandler Wolves, Mason Moran. Now, this is a guy that is just a really fantastic story. He has been a safety now for the last 2 seasons for the Wolves and is the backup quarterback for this team, and someone that is being recruited at the next level as a quarterback. He already has an offer from Boston College, but he is waiting for his time. He's a diehard Chandler Wolf. He wants to play with the Wolves, and he's not one of those quarterbacks that's looking to start somewhere else and move in his family to play for some other school. He wants to be a Chandler Wolf, and he's waiting patiently for his time while Bryce Perkins is here.
That's very rare in today's game. College, which has now kind of trickled down to the high school level, that is very rare.
Quick throw from Bennett to Deontay Williams. That's the second time they've hooked up so far. Gets to about the 24-yard line for a gain of 4 on the play.
And that's what you need from Buena. They were not winning first and second down. 3rd and 7 is not going to do it against this defense. Getting 4 yards on first down, pick up a few more here, and have 3rd and short. Give your offense at least a little bit of a chance to keep the defense off the field, give them a breath.
And it's a really good matchup on the outside between Kyrie Woods and Deontay Williams. Woods had a very good game against Centennial last week. Bennett to throw, a little bit overthrown out of the outstretched hands of Giovanni Ortega. That's going to make it quickly, again, another 3rd down situation for Buena.
Third and 6 now with 4.5 to go. Buena's going to try and sustain a drive here. Keep your defense off the field. Let them get a blow for a little bit here and recharge. It'd be tough to go another 3 and out. That'd be 3 to start the game.
It's 3rd and 6, 4:34 left here in the opening quarter. 14-0 Chandler. And it's going to be I formation set for Bennett.
Williams is out there on an island yet again. They're keeping him pretty much one-on-one. They're going his way.
They look his way on a quick slant, but it's all overthrown out of his stretched arms, and it's another 3 and out for Buena. They'll be forced to punt.
It was a good route. He was there. He had a little bit deeper of a slant kind of across the middle, not quite yet a post, not a little bit deeper than a slant, and he was there across the middle. They're pretty much putting him one-on-one on an island, especially on 3rd downs. Just couldn't hook up that time.
And we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, Braxton Bennett is the backup quarterback. He's been in a quarterback competition over the last few weeks. But Jordan Haymore is the starting quarterback. Went down in the 2nd week of fall camp when they first put the pads on with a sprained MCL. And he is the guy that they try to trigger their offense around. Mahan receives the punt, misplays it, but all of a sudden has some space. Crosses the 50. One man to the beat, the 40. Down at the 30-yard line, but Danny Mahan, who had a lot of pressure in front of him, and it looks like he misplayed the ball initially, had a lot of space, found a hole, and has a great return as the Wolves will look to make it a 3-score lead.
Kind of the glue guy here. A fantastic just football player, a guy that you'd love to have on your team. We saw him in pregame warm-ups. He just catches everything. Very, very strong hands for a little bit smaller of a receiver, and he's a really, really good go-to guy.
And Coach Aguano just absolutely loves this kid, says he's a funny guy. He's one of the hardest workers, one of the toughest guys on the team, but does everything on the field with a smile on his face. Mentioned he's going to be a guy that's going to be hard to replace once he heads up to NAU next season, but they're making the most of him on the field right now. 1st and 10 Wolves. Perkins will keep it himself on the zone read and takes it all the way down inside the 20-yard line. Solid decision-making right there for Bryce Perkins. More than enough for a first down, and the Wolves get into the red zone very quickly.
Well, let's see if they can do it in under 4 plays now.
That seems to be the parameter. 4:03 left here in the opening quarter. And a flag is down, and it looks like it's going to be a false start on the Wolves. That's the first penalty called so far this game. And now, Ben, we've called a few Chandler games together. The only thing that's kind of been a crutch on their side has been the penalties. And that's been a problem at times over the course of the last few years, but they've really tried to maintain discipline with this year's group.
Yeah, in that Hamilton game we called, they had quite a few as we...
Chase Lucas takes it 23 yards for a score, untouched, 20-0 Chandler Wolves.
Just an end around to Chase Lucas, and he was able to get the job done, was not touched, and they do get it within 4 plays to cap it off here, 20-0 with 3:45 to go. This could get ugly fast. We talked to Coach Aguano before the game, said Perkins is going to play, at least for the first quarter. So we'll see if he stays true to that or if his starters start to trickle out here as they're now up by 3 scores with still 3.5 to go in the first.
The efficiency and the speed of this offense, it's just a well-oiled machine. And they know what they're doing out there. This is an offense now that's run together for a couple of years. This is year 2 under Bryce Perkins, year 2 under Chase Lucas, and some of the receivers that are now at the top of the depth chart were receivers that we saw on the depth chart last season. So this is a team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that knows each other very well. .345 left in the first, 21-0 Wolves. This one has gotten away from Buena here early. They knew they had quite the uphill climb against them. And when you talk about defending the spread, it's just knowing your position and knowing your role. And so far, I think Buena's struggling to do so here early.
Yeah, big gaps, whether they're going outside or inside right now. They just have too much space. And Chandler, with the athletes they have, they're going to be able to make moves in that space and make a guy miss. So right now, Buena's really got to shore up, get off your blocks, shed some blocks, and just find a way to get a hat on a hat.
Lovitz kicks that one all the way out to the end zone, so a touchback as Buena will take over 1st and 10 from their own 20-yard line. So now 1st and 10, Buena from their own 20-yard line. Braxton Bennett under center. He's back to throw. And he's looking deep this time for Williams to air it up. Almost intercepted. Intended for Deontay Williams. It looks like Isaiah Swan was the one that was in there to knock it away.
Yeah, not a bad ball, honestly. Put it up in the air, let your best player go get it, see what happens. At this point, I mean, you've tried to run the options side to side. You've tried to go up the middle. Nothing's really working too much. Find your best player, throw it up there, see what happens.
And if there's ever a guy that can go up and get it, it is Deontay Williams, who stands about 6'4", 6'3", 180, and has quite the leaping ability. So don't be surprised if they try that again just to get him the football.
They've done a nice job, though, of mixing up the coverages on Williams. Sometimes they've gone just press coverage. That time they laid off him.
Yeah, Bennett keeps it himself that time. And Kyle Crowley was the one that was there to make the stop as Bennett tried to make something out of nothing. And we'll get a timeout here as Buena will want to talk things over as they're looking at another third down situation, 3rd and 13, down 21-0 with 3:21 left in the first quarter. If you're Chandler, what's important, Ben? Well, you have a lead on the defensive side of the ball. You have 9 new starters. What are you trying to make sure that you do to maintain what makes you good and what needs to help you improve moving forward?
Well, I think they just have to keep in mind that while this may be one of their not as competitive games going forward, they're going to have some very competitive games, especially the next 2 weeks. They're going to go – this is one of actually the few home games. They have their home games this year are probably games that they'd like to switch out for their road games. Very, very tough road schedule. I mean – you need to take away your gap assignments. Just mental mindset football. That's what you got to do. Because going into the next 2 weeks, they are going to be very physical, big-time battles with Valor Christian as they go up into Colorado to play them. And then they go to Mountain Point, which is, as we said, 1A and 1B in terms of Division I football.
And then they got Hamilton soon after that on the road as well, down the street in the Battle of Arizona Avenue. So they've got quite the uphill climb ahead. This is the time to get the work in. Bennett throws downfield, well overthrown, intended for Ortega, and a late flag comes in. It might have been in the direction of pass interference.
Yeah, they got tangled up, the wide receiver and the safety there. I think he was trying to go to Ortega down the middle. He got tangled up with the safety. It was pass interference.
So that ball might have been out and possibly uncatchable, but they still rule it a pass interference. And that'll make it the first down of the game for Buena with 3:16 left in the opening quarter.
At least now they're sustaining something. See if they can keep that momentum, get another first down, and keep that defense off the field.
So after the penalty, it'll take them out to the 33-yard line, their own 33-yard line. 1st and 10, first down of the game as mentioned for the Colts. Chandler showing a little bit of pressure, looking like they're going to attack hard. They have about 8 guys in the box.
As I said, they've really done a nice job of mixing up their defensive packages.
They sure have. This time they'll hand it off to the fullback, Angel Rivera. That's his first carry of the game. Positive yards, about 2 on the play. And it'll bring a 2nd and long still for Buena.
This still is a young defense, so while on offense they seem a little bit more shored up, a little bit sure of themselves, a lot of depth on the offensive side, this defense still has to prove a little something. I mean, this defensive line especially showed up big time in the second half against Centennial. They need to keep doing that consistently as this year moves along.
2:40 left in the first quarter. Buena trails 21-0. Something to make note of, Mason Moran is not on the field. He's maybe getting a look maybe early to play quarterback in the early going. Maybe Bryce Perkins' night is over already. Short gain right there for Buena. We'll make it about 3rd and 4 after the short gain for Cody Shear.
Towards the end of that game, the defensive line really stepped up for Chandler. J.W. Windsor had a very big game, a nose guard that they're high on. And just that defensive line needs to start coming together. As I said, playing another power formation type football here from Buena.
2 minutes left. Hands the ball off to Shear. No, that's Rivera. Powers his way through, but it still looks to be about a yard short. Makes it 4th down and about 2 yards, and the offense looks like it's still on the field for Buena.
And they're going to go for it here.
So why not? Down 21-0 early. Got to make something happen. They're going to go for it here on 4th down and about 2. Want to put this I formation to the test. The power run game that Buena's moved to and priding themselves on here early. It's a quarterback keeper. Runs into a defensive line of Chandler. That was all over him, and it's going to be a turnover on downs for Buena.
Nice penetration by the defensive line. I think that was Evans in there initially to make the hit, and they were all over that play right from the start.
Yeah, and Kyle Crawley was also involved in that play. He's the Mike linebacker for Chandler, so that'll make it 1st and 10 now in Buena territory at the Buena 41-yard line where the offense will take over.
Looks like Perkins will go back for one more drive at least.
He'll have Mahan on his right, Flanagan on his left. And he hands the ball off to Lucas, who runs up the middle, has a lot of space again, and there he goes. Across the 20-yard line to the 10, the 5. Chase Lucas, 41 yards for the score. His 3rd touchdown of the game.
Big time penetration again. We say it all the time, but a great push by the front of this Chandler Wolves team. Lucas got about 6 yards downfield before anybody even sniffed him. This Chandler Wolves offensive line is really firing off the ball and making holes gigantic for Lucas to run through.
Extra point is up and good for Lovett, so with 1:10 left in the opening quarter, 28-0, the Wolves on top of the Buena Colts.
This might not be like that last game we called of Chandler versus Hamilton. That was one of the best of all time that I've seen. But this Chandler Wolves team has come out definitely with a statement. I mean, when you're playing a game like this, you don't want to see any laughs. You don't want to see them come out with any sort of mental edge to them. This is big time stuff from Chandler. They needed to get this done. They needed to do it early, and they're putting up a lot of points right now.
28-0 before you can get out of the first quarter. You mentioned a statement from Chandler. It's the mark of a good team that shows up to play in the tough games and grinds out a gutsy win like they did last week.
Mm-hmm.
And then against the teams that they should probably beat, they come out and play with the same passion, energy, and tempo, and that's exactly what the Wolves have done here early. Lovitz has kicked his last 2 into the end zone, and it looks like he'll do that again as that one is booted all the way to the back of the end zone. This kid has got an absolute foot, and he really puts a lot into it, so it'll be 1st and 10 Buena from their own 20-yard line.
First team defense takes the field yet again.
Still, you're right, Ben. They still have some of the starters, the ones still out on the field for the defense. I'm sure that will probably be the case for most of this first half. With Chandler playing this game and then getting ready to hop on an airplane this Thursday to take on Valor Christian in Colorado, a team that's won a lot of state championships out of the state of Colorado. Quick pass and a huge hit laid on by Isaiah Swan. Giovanni Ortega has had a few balls thrown his direction, but have just been a little bit out of his reach and have resulted in him taking some hits, but none bigger than that one right there.
Nice break on the ball by Swan. Got there, perfect timing to break up that pass and laid the lumber on Ortega.
Second down and 10 from their own 20. Braxton Bennett, the quarterback, under center. Split backs behind him. Runs the option. Defenders all over the place. Great pursuit by this front 7 or 8 that they have in the box for Chandler.
And that looked like another broken play. A couple times Bennett has turned around and thought someone was going to be taking the ball from him, and they haven't, and he's had to kind of improvise, and that was same thing there. He didn't know what to do with it, ran it up the middle, couldn't get much, and another 3rd and long. This is just killer for the Colts offense.
3rd and 9 to be exact, under a minute to go. They'll probably have one more play before the end of the quarter. They'll try to make it a first down on this play. Bennett has split backs behind him and 2 receivers to his left. 3-step drop, looking downfield, has a man. Great pitch and catch right there to Deontay Williams. The best play of the game so far for Buena yet brings up a first down with 17 seconds left. But that was as good of a play as we've seen coming from Buena here tonight.
That was a nice throw. Crossing pattern towards the near side of the field here. Hit Williams in stride, and they were able to pick up a nice first down.
And that'll do it for the opening quarter, which has been all Chandler Wolves. They're on a mission tonight, and they have made that statement here early in this game. After one, 28-0 on top of the Buena Colts. Jared Cohen and Ben Gabrielson here from Chandler High School. We'll take a short break, and we'll have more action from the second quarter coming up. Back here at Chandler High School on the first play of the second quarter, an interception for the Wolves. And they'll take over on offense after what was a great play to end the first quarter for Buena. The first play of the second quarter ends in an interception. So the first turnover of the game for either team, and now the Wolves, if you don't count the turnover on downs for Buena the last time they had the ball, but it'll be 1st and 10 Wolves from the Buena 45-yard line to start the second quarter. And in at quarterback already is junior Mason Moran. Aguano said that he would go to him today, and there he is. Moran back to throw. 3-step drop. It's deflected at the line and almost intercepted, but ends up falling down incomplete.
Yeah, he's still in with the first-team line. That was Woodard. He hit in the back of the head.
Anderson Schmig was almost the one that came up with the interception. And it's always entertaining when a nose tackle ends up with an interception to see him try to take it the other way, but he wasn't able to hone it in. In motion, they fake it to Colby Taylor, and Mason Moran is on the run. He kept it himself, crossed the 20 to the 10, taken down inside the 10-yard line to the 7. Great decision-making right there on the the zone read. Instead of going end around to Colby Taylor, keeps it himself and takes it all the way inside the 10 for a great pickup.
Yeah, nice play by Moran. We talked about he's a very good athlete. He showed it there in the open field. Very patient runner, but also pretty quick.
So 1st and goal from the 9. 2 to the right, 1 to the left of Moran. They hand the ball off and in for 6. 3 plays, and a touchdown for the Chandler Wolves, a 9-yard touchdown run. And now Lovitz will come in for the extra point. Micah Reed Campos, the one that takes it in from 9 yards out. And the Wolves take a 35-0 lead with 11.5 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, that was set up by Moran's nice run. Zone read up the middle, had a lot of space to work with. I really like to see quarterbacks as well as running backs, anybody any ball carrier have the kind of patience to set up their blocks as Moran did, and then Chandler puts another one on the board to make it 35-0 here. Buena's going to have to stop the bleeding at some point. They're going to have to find a way to maybe get a stop, tackle in space. Right now, just too much space for Chandler to operate.
So Lubitz will kick things away for Chandler, who leads it 35-0 with 11:29 left in the first half.
And as we look at around some scores also going on here Friday night, it looks Hamilton up 6-3 on Brophy, and Brophy just had the ball inside the 10, couldn't score, and then botched the field goal.
Oh, yeah.
So still 6-3 Hamilton over Brophy.
That's a game to keep an eye out for. Brophy trying to prove that they've got something. Ortega picks the ball up just past the goal line, finds some holes, and takes it all the way out to the 24-yard line. There is a flag on the play as Giovanni Ortega takes a bobbled return into a very good return out to the 24. We'll see what the flag is, and it looks like it's going to be a holding call on Buena, which will send the Colts back inside the 20-yard line. But you talked about Brophy. They if there was ever a positive you can take from getting blown out to Bishop Gorman, it's coming back to Arizona and learning a thing or two about yourselves. And what they did to Desert Mountain last week and how they're playing Hamilton close so far shows that they definitely learned a lot. And that's a young team with a lot to learn and a lot to grow with.
Yeah, same kind of mindset that Chandler's going to take next week into Valor. I mean, when you play those tough teams that you're not going to play very much, you don't see much, you don't see what kind of personnel they have, what kind of football strategy they go about, how they run their offense. It's always good to challenge your kids.
Bennett completes it to Williams, runs backwards a little bit, but then forward to about the 24, which was the original line of scrimmage for the Colts before the holding penalty. But that'll be just short of a first down on their first play, make it about 2nd and 1 now, as Bennett and Williams have connected now on the last two drives for some nice plays.
And that's what you got to do at this point. You got to find your best player and find a way to get him the ball. They're still playing one-on-one coverage, especially down here on the near side. There he is. He's open.
Middle of the field.
Oh.
Williams had it and had a lot of room to run, but it goes through his fingertips, incomplete.
They're changing up the coverage, and there wasn't a safety in sight. There was nobody over the top. Williams just ran a simple post. Nice route. Nice throw. Just couldn't come up with a catch.
And that's kind of the way the Colts night has gone here so far. And unable to take advantage of an opportunity that could have led to 6 points. One to the right, one to the left of Bennett with split backs behind him.
Another double tight formation here from Buena.
They hand the ball off to Rivera, who thunders his way down to the 29-yard line. It'll be more than enough for a Colts first down, just their third of the game.
But a nice job by Buena to win first and second down. That's what it takes. When you're in third and short, that playbook opens up so much more. You can run up the middle. You can do a little option that they've done a couple of times. End arounds, throw it to Williams. It really just opens up the offense so much more when you have third and short, second and short. You got to win these first early downs.
So they'll do two to the left of Bennett this time. Looks like they're changing plays at the line of scrimmage. Split backs behind Bennett. Showing blitz are the Wolves. Back to throw. Picks up the blitz. Almost intercepted on the far side of the field, and if that was picked off, it could have gone the other way for 6.
Yeah, they brought the weak side backer that time. Pretty much had one-on-one. Bennett had to get rid of it maybe a little bit sooner than he wanted to, and got very fortunate that was not a pick 6.
So it'll be 2nd down and 10 now with 10 minutes left in the first half. I'm Jared Cohen. That's Ben Gabrielson bringing you the play-by-play here from Chandler High School, their home opener for the 2014 season, a much-anticipated 2014 season here at Chandler High School. Two to the right of Bennett. running the option. That's sniffed out. Off the bat, knew it was coming all the way through. Sam Pepper got a great jump on that play and was all over Bennett before he could do anything, which will lead now to a timeout for Buena with 9:54 left, and they're looking at a 3rd and 10. But Sam Pepper had that play sniffed out before it even happened.
Yeah, nice penetration there. Pretty much came unblocked and was able to make the play deep in the backfield. And now it's going against everything I've been saying. 3rd and long again. It's tough to pick up 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, and ask your quarterback to find a way to get another first down and keep your defense on the sideline for just a little bit more.
So here's a good note, with big game in college football, big games in college football coming up this weekend. I know that's what you're all about. A team that everyone here at Chandler's become diehard fans of is the UCLA Bruins. Saw Bryce Perkins on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Coach Iguano said he has 2 framed copies of that in his office.
Wow.
I think he's a little bit proud. A little bit proud of what that guy's accomplished and is accomplishing over the course of his career.
He was and is still the face of Chandler football, that's for sure.
On 3rd and 10 to throw, and it's underthrown, intended for Williams by Braxton Bennett. That'll make it 4th and 10 in another punting situation for the Buena Colts. And that time around, it was Bennett that had enough time to throw it, but the opening in the space was not there downfield for him to be able to make the connection to his man Deontay Williams. Flanagan and Mahan are back again to receive the punt. The dynamic duo back there. And man, can they make some plays. The kick away from Groves is a shorter one compared to the ones he's had so far. Goes out of bounds just across midfield. They'll mark it out of bounds literally at midfield where the Wolves will take over 1st and 10. And Mason Moran, who has already been out there for 1 drive, is back for number 2. They had 3 plays on their last drive before getting into pay dirt. And they'll look to have that same efficiency this time around.
Looks like he's going to stay with the first team offensive line, though, so really give Moran a good look with his first team offense, at least aside from some of the playmakers.
So it'll be 1st and 10 Wolves from midfield, 2 to the right, 2 to the left, plus a man in the backfield. And there's a fumble, and it's going to be a turnover. A misplaced handoff from Mason Moran, and it's recovered for Buena. And they'll take over 1st and 10, the first turnover of the game, the first blunder of the game for the Wolves. And recovering that fumble is Stephen Choi, the defensive end for the Colts.
Yeah, trying to have that fly sweep with Colby Taylor around the end. And just a little trouble with the exchange. Buena able to take advantage. And let's see them start a drive in Chandler territory now, see what they can do.
It's the first time they've gotten into Chandler territory in this game, this time by way of a miscue by the Wolves. So it'll be 1st and 10 Buena from the Chandler 43-yard line. And the Wolves have about 9 men in the box. They hand the ball off to Rivera, who just gets pummeled by J.W. Windsor and company in that defensive line for the Wolves.
Yeah, if there was ever a time to check out of a play, I would have said that was it. Chandler was coming with the heat, and they weren't disguising anything.
They
chose
not.
To run it right at him.
They had 8 guys in the box. They had 3 guys set up a corner, and there were 8 guys in the box. They knew what was coming. Loss of 1 on the play for Rivera. 2nd and 11 for the Colts from the Wolves' 45-yard line. Bennett's back to throw this time into the flats, and it's overthrown, incomplete. Pass was intended for 21 Rome Cooper, the senior running back. And Mitchell Hale is in a quarterback. We said that it's been a quarterback by committee for that backup job. since the starting quarterback went down with a sprained meniscus, sprained MCL, and Bennett has been put to the bench, and they'll give Mitchell Hale here a shot early. Back to throw, looking and well overthrown. Out route for Deontay Williams out of his reach, and that'll make it 4th down. So despite the turnover, the Colts look at a 4th down situation to be able to capitalize off of it.
Their offense, though, is still on the field, so I think they're going to go for it here. Might as well. You're in Chandler territory for the first time all night. See what they can do.
And Mitchell Hale will have 2 to his right with an I formation behind him.
Some confusion here by the Chandler D. They get settled, though. Williams clears it.
Into the flats, it's Cooper. And he gets across the 45 to almost the 40, but still not nearly enough for a first down. So the second turnover of downs in this game for Buena, and the Chandler Wolves will take over. And a good job by the Wolves that time after the turnover, refocusing and making a nice play, a nice few plays defensively.
Yeah, Hale looked to the flats a few different times, couldn't hook up with this guy, and Chandler played good assignment football, stayed home, were able to corral him, and now will take over with pretty good field position.
So Mason Moran still in at quarterback, has running backs to each side of him, and hands the ball off across midfield there for a nice gain short of a first down.
I've been very impressed with the right side of Chandler's line. Matt Menlove has finished a few blocks very well. He's gotten up on his guy, good use of his hands, and is finishing the play pretty much every time I see 73 running down the field with a full head of steam.
Anthony Clay had that run for about 8 yards. Second down, Moran flushed out of the pocket. He'll keep it himself, runs out of bounds just shy of the 45-yard line into Buena territory. Good decision-making right there for the young quarterback.
Very heady player. You can already tell. He's only been in for, this is his second or third drive, and you can tell the patience and the calmness that he exudes. You can tell that this is not his first time playing quarterback. He is a good player, a good athlete, really allows the games to come to him.
And as we mentioned, he'd be a starter on a very, very high percentage of football teams around the state. But he's a Chandler Wolf through and through, and he's waiting for his time. And his time will be next year once Bryce Perkins is off to Arizona State. He'll keep himself on the zone read, and he's got a long ways to go. One blocker to beat. Great speed from Moran. He'll take it all the way to the end zone for 6. 45-yard touchdown run for Mason Moran on the zone read. Reads it perfectly, and another Wolves touchdown. They're now up to 41 points with 8 minutes left in the second quarter.
He had Tyree Brown looking for him at every point, and he just kept staying behind him, right, left, and eventually finished off the run. Good play by Moran.
Extra point is up and good for Lovitz. 8:02 left in the first half. 42-0. The Wolves on top here from Chandler High School, on top of the Buena Colts from Sierra Vista, Arizona.
Only 14 offensive plays for Chandler. They now have 42 points.
Not a bad percentage.
We talk about the tough road ahead for Chandler. They have Baylor Christian. They're going to their place, different state, different team they're not very familiar with. Then they come back and go to Mountain Point. If they can win those two games, I mean, I know they have some pretty tough games going down the stretch at Hamilton, at Basha. I mean, it's just a brutal schedule for this Chandler Wolves team. If they can get through the next two, that will really tell a lot about this team. Week 1 against Centennial, they really withheld the power run. Dedrick Young is one of the best in the state, if not the best in the state.
He sure is, man.
And,
he can flat out play.
And they corralled him enough to stay on top in that game. So it'll be really interesting moving forward how this Wolves defense especially responds.
Kick is away, will be played. It's misplayed by Ortega. Picks it up and gets lit. What a hit on special teams right there. Wow. It was Groves who misplayed the kick initially, picked up by Ortega, and I think he's wishing he didn't pick that ball up. Wow, did he get hit.
Tough to pick up the ball, kind of look downfield and just see a blue helmet coming right at you.
So it'll be 1st and 10, Buena, with 7:33 left in the first half from their own 16-yard line. Mitchell Hale still in at quarterback for Buena. They've gone with Braxton Bennett and now Mitchell Hale, and they'll hand the ball off this time to Cody Shear, who gets some positive yardage, 2, maybe call it 3, on first down.
Seems now that the second team defense, or at a lot of the positions for Chandler, is now in the game.
And there's the option for Hale. He'll keep it himself. And he's hit for a loss, maybe back to about the original line of scrimmage. The first one in on the stop on that play, number 96, Fabian Barraza, the 6', 225 senior defensive lineman. So it'll make it 3rd and 7 with just over 6 minutes left in the first half. Play action, rolling out. Hale looking to throw it. He'll just keep it himself. Tries to elude one defender, but he's taken backwards. Nice tackle right there.
He's going to be close to a first down, though.
Very close to a first down, you're right. Isaiah Swan was the one that grabbed him at about that first down line, but then moved him backwards. We'll see where the officials spot it. It's very close. It looks like it's about where they need to be. And they'll give it to him. 1st and 10 for the Buena Colts. Good decision-making right there for Mitchell Hale to keep it himself instead of throwing it and getting that first down.
Yeah, he did have Williams for a brief moment. He missed his window, though, tucked it, ran it, and got a first down. That's all you can do, move the chains.
So 1st and 10, Buena, just a handful of first downs so far in this game, but nevertheless they're moving the chains and trying to make something happen, down 42-0 with 5 minutes left in the first half.
There is a ton of real estate for Williams to run right now, and they're going to throw it to him.
And they lob it up for Williams. Back shoulder, nice play, broken up.
That's exactly what you should have done. They had a ton of real estate, no safety over the top, just one-on-one, and Hale threw it up into space, let the big guy go get it. He did it. It's a good throw. Had his hands on it. Just a nice play by the corner.
Yeah, Isaiah Swan on the coverage right there. That's 2 times we've mentioned his name now on this drive. This time around, the first time around making the big tackle, the second time doing a good job of getting his hands all over Deontay Williams so he couldn't corral in that pass. 2nd and 10 now with 4:20 left in the second half. It's Jared Cohen and Ben Gabriel sitting here on Sports360AZ.com from Chandler High School as the Wolves find themselves up 42-0. And there's a handoff. Still on his feet. Whistles haven't blown yet, and then he's finally taken down at the 25-yard line. Cody Shear, though, with a lot of effort right there.
You'd like
to make something out of nothing.
I'd like to see that, though. This team is still playing hard. Down 42-0. Obviously outmatched in this game, but still playing hard, still fighting for extra yardage. That's what high school football is all about.
YOLO, Ben. YOLO. 3:30 left. They credited him with about a yard. It was probably the hardest working yard you've ever seen for Shear. So it's 3rd and 9 from their own 27. Hale is back to throw. He's going to keep it himself, but there's a swarm of defensive linemen for the Wolves that see him leave the pocket and don't let him go any further. He's dropped for a sack. And that'll make it 4th down and another punting situation for Buena.
Another scoring update from a team around this area. Basha right now up 21-0 on Centennial.
That's a surprise. You know, Basha played them very well last year too, if I remember correctly.
Very well. So we'll.
And that game too is on sports360az.com if you want to check it out. Take a break from mine and Ben's fine broadcast and check out the people out at Basha. That game is also on the site. Terrell Flanagan waves that one for a fair catch, so it'll be 1st and 10 Wolves with 2:28 left in the first half. They'll start off from their own 41-yard line.
Yeah, the more you look at Chandler's schedule going forward, it's just going to be so tough for them. As any Division I team that's playing a lot of the teams in this area, Basha could be a lot better than people thought. Right now, playing a very good Centennial team up 21-0.
A rejuvenized program under Coach Gerald Todd, who takes over for Bernie Buskin as the head coach. Colby Taylor gets this one, has a lot of space and showing that speed. Shakes the defender, he's still got some room to run. The 20, the 15, the 10, touchdown, Chandler Wolves. There is a flag down. But Colby Taylor showing off the dance moves on that one.
He was in the open field one-on-one with the safety and made him miss. He did not touch Taylor on the way past him, put a great move on him, had a nice shimmy, put his foot in the ground, got upfield. Great run by Taylor. He's going to have a big, bright future ahead of him.
And a block in the back on Chandler will bring that touchdown all the way back. Highlight reel material. Ends up not being a touchdown for Taylor, but he's had his plenty other opportunities here today. 1 minute left here in the first half. After the penalty, it'll be 1st and 10 from the 40 for Mason Moran and the Chandler Wolves. They hand that ball off this time to DJ Ware. Short gain on the play. Seth Dozer, the Sam linebacker, makes the stop. Gain of 3 on the play. 2nd and 7 from the 45. Hand the ball off to Ware. He cuts it out to the outside. Good block in front of him. He'll take it to 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown, Chandler Wolves, DJ Ware. From 45 yards out. And the Wolves make it 48-0.
Nice job by the senior Christian Brewington here on the edge. That wide receiver continued to block downfield and pave the way for that touchdown. Nice job blocking downfield by the Wolves. So it'll be a running clock, I believe, from now on.
That it
once
is.
They hit the 42-point mark. So this will be the last play of the first half. And it's good to make it 49-0 at half. There will be a running clock, I believe, once the second half starts as well.
So that'll be it for the first half. Wolves, and more Wolves, and some big plays at that, showing off their high-powered offense and their incredible
I'm Juan, and I'm here with Coach
athleticism. We'll take a break over halftime.
So, how was preseason?
Preseason was good. We had a long preseason that started in January. Had our spring ball and then went to camp. But all in all, it went very well.
Are you nervous about tonight's game? Like, how are you guys going to tackle the situation?
You know, I think that we prepared well with our scouting reports and at practice. Am I nervous? I'm nervous about every game going in. I think our kids did very well preparing, and then we'll come out and execute and play well tonight, especially in front of our home crowd.
So how do you expect the season to go?
You know, I expect it to go very well. You know, we won our first game. Tonight's going to be our second game. I thought we ran into a buzzsaw at Centennial last week, but I think our season is going to go terrific. We'll just take one game at a time.
Yeah. Who can we expect to make big plays this season?
You know, I think Justin Jan is a playmaker. I think Bryce Perkins and Chase Lucas, but we have a variety of guys on the offensive side. Colby Taylor and Nikhil Harry. Danny Mahan, Terrell
Yeah.
Flanagan. So there's a bunch of guys,
Yeah.
but it all starts up with the line
Yeah.
with Vinny Vitale and Keola Daniels and Dustin Woodard. But I think that's and Matt Menlove. But I think we have a very diverse group that'll
Yeah.
make a lot of plays. Our defensive side of the ball, Mason Moran is our quarterback on that side of the ball. KT Tellini and JW Windsor. But we do also have Kyrie Woods and Thomas Chisholm, and there's a bunch of guys that'll make plays.
And you guys lost a lot of players, right?
You know, we lost 9 guys on defense, so we're trying to get those guys acclimated into playing big man football, but they're doing fantastic right now.
Okay. How have you prepared for this season?
You know, most of our time is spent in the weight room, and then spring ball and summer camp. But from a mental standpoint, we got over the hump last year and beating Hamilton. So preparing to win every single game and be in the end with the state championship ring. But it'll take everyone's effort, coaching staff as well as the players, going in on every game.
Are there any teams that you're like nervous about going into the game?
You know, I think every team I'm nervous about. It's just the unknown of how our kids are going to play and how well they're going to play against us. You know, be the number 1 team in the Valley right now. We have a huge bullseye on our back. So every game I'm nervous.
How will you ensure we take down those Huskies this year?
You know, I think that from a confidence level and the mindset, Hamilton is just another team down the street. I think we just have to make sure we're fundamentally sound and not making any mistakes. They're a good football team, and they'll be a good football team year in, year out. But I think we're at a level now that we can compete and even be better than they are.
Yeah. Now, the question that everyone wants to know, are we going to go undefeated this year?
You know, that's our plan. We never know. There's always hiccups in the road, and saying that we're going undefeated, that's a tall task, especially with the region that we play in. But we'll play every game as hard as we can, and we'll see it at the end.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the time we have. Thanks, Coach Buena. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
All right. See you, Wolves.
Welcome back to Austin Field here, Chandler High School, as the Wolves just take the field for the second half here. We're going to have a running clock all of the second half as they took a 49-0 lead into halftime there as against the Buena Colts. Chandler looking to go 2-0 on the season after a nice win last week against the Centennial Coyotes, who are down right now in the first half to Basha. So let's talk a little bit about this game in Chandler. Ben Gabrielson, Jared Cohen, alongside me. We're going to take you through the rest of this one and hopefully into some more games this season. But Jared, what'd you see out of Chandler in the first half? I know it's tough to decipher with a little bit down competition, but what'd you see out of that first half that maybe you weren't expecting coming into this one?
Well, I didn't see anything that I wasn't expecting, but what I did want to see was no letdown. I wanted to see a team that's a well-oiled machine, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that wasn't playing down to their competition, that was diligent, that was disciplined, and that was doing what they're used to doing. One thing that Coach Aguano told me during the week was last week, their first 9 plays, they were out of sync. That Bryce Perkins and his offense was a little bit, his reads were off, he was out of sync, and it was something that they really wanted to address this week to get back to being themselves. And I think on the first, however many drives they had in the first quarter that all led to touchdowns, they got back to being themselves. And that's what I wanted to see out of them in this game. And boy, did they ever show it. And boy, did they ever show how lightning, how fast and how efficient and how impressive this offense could be with all these athletes and this big and experienced of an offensive line. The output that they can have at the end of the day on the offensive side of the ball is just scary.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money with that. I mean, they had 35 points in 14 plays. I'd say that's pretty efficient. So definitely what they wanted to do, come out, score early, get their starters out of the game, give some reps to maybe the second team guys. Because like I said, it's going to be a bloodbath going forward. There's going to be some big-time games, and honestly, they're going to be all on the road. I think after tonight, they're not home again until against Cesar Chavez, and then I don't even think they're home
Which is one of the
again.
last games of the year.
Right.
So I think they have about 3 or 4 more games ahead of them, some of the big games that they have circled on their schedule on the road. I know the weekend that ASU and UCLA play, they are at home. That's their homecoming game. Who they play that game is currently escaping me. Don't have the schedule in front of me. But
Who U of A plays? Or
no,
Chandler?
who Chandler
Oh.
plays. That's the only reason why I know that is because they wanted to bring Brett Hundley into school for that Friday, the day after that Thursday ASU UCLA game. But if you take a look at their schedule, now you have it in front of you. They have Buena, and then you're right, they have Cesar Chavez at home, which I believe is that Friday night after that Thursday night home game where Brett Hundley will be in town taking on the Sun Devils. And then you go Hamilton, home against Gilbert, then at Perry and at Basha. That is just a crazy stretch of games. And you look at a team that wants to run the table, a team that wants to get to the state championship and achieve things that they never have before. They are truly going to be battle-tested, and they're definitely going to know who they are as a team and as a unit once that gauntlet of a schedule right in the middle of their season is complete.
Talk about the depth they have from the playmaking standpoint. We haven't even mentioned the fact that they're probably playing without their best playmaker in N'Keal Harry tonight. He was suspended after that Centennial game. Got in a fight. His helmet came off, was ejected, and then it had to be suspended for this game. And as we said pregame, probably the one game with that gauntlet of a schedule that they could afford to not have him in the lineup. But he will be a big, integral part of this offense moving forward.
And you talk about N'Keal Harry, and we mentioned in the first quarter Justin Jan, who is supposedly the go-to guy for Coach Aguano. Yet the number 4 or 5 receiver on the depth chart was one of the biggest playmakers in the first half, and Terrell Flanagan. He took an end around for a 45-yard gain and then had a long touchdown from Bryce Perkins. So the number 5 guy could be one of your top scorers and top playmakers. It tells you a lot about this team. And off to the races we go to start the second half.
Here we go, a lot of the same. Chandler takes the opening kickoff down inside Buena territory to the 45-yard line, and away we go. Running clock the rest of the way, up 49-0. We'll see what Chandler comes out with here in the second half, and it does look like we're going to get a new quarterback as well. Moran his night is done, and I think it's Christian Brewington who might take over the reins here. Or at least he's going to be in the game. Let's see who's going to be taking the snaps.
A 6'4" receiver is Brewington.
Well, he might be splitting out wide. Iguana was telling him to play, so I thought he might be taking over, but I think it is now going to be a different quarterback. I didn't catch the number. They're tough to see in these jerseys
Those
from
black
up here.
jerseys with blue writing.
And there's the give up the middle to 27, Frankie Isto. the
Quarterback
senior.
is Tahad Pretlow, who is a junior quarterback, 5'10", 155 pounds. Tahad Pretlow getting his first action as a quarterback for the Chandler Wolves.
He'll come out with split backs in the gun, 2 to the near side, takes the snap, hands it off again. Running to the left side is Isidore.
Yeah, Frankie Isidore, another senior, getting some reps as a senior who's putting in a lot of work for the Wolves over the course of his career, getting rewarded now with some solid playing time in this second half. And for these type of guys, you work so hard for this opportunity to get into the game, and now you want to make the most of it.
Pretlow again. He's going to keep it this time. Running to the left side. He's got some space. He's got the corner. He's taken down there by Buena. He might have been off to the races. Takes it down to the 20-yard line, and Chandler will set up in the red zone with 10 minutes here to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, Pretlow, good decision-making right there, knowing his role, reading the defense, and the zone read, which is run to perfection now, as we've seen from 3 quarterbacks on this Wolves offense, could lead to another score here on the first drive of the second half.
Same formation, split backs, 2 to the near side. Pretlow will take the snap. Gives it up the middle this time. Isidore breaks a couple of tackles inside the 5 to the 5-yard line. Ball came out, but they say he was down. So they'll set up shop now inside the 5, first and goal. And they're just marching right down the field. I know it's Buena, and I know maybe the competition level is a little bit different. Maybe, it definitely is a mismatch as we've seen. But the way the Chandler Wolves are getting off the ball has been very impressive to me tonight.
It's the truth. They know what they're doing. They've gotten back to Chandler Wolves' offense. As there's a penalty flag down as someone might have jumped a little bit early.
I think it's a legal substitution on the defense, which you don't see much.
A couple scores, as we mentioned, going into the half. Arizona Avenue rival Hamilton has taken a 19-3 lead over Brophy at the half, and Basha leads 21-7 over Centennial at the half, as another flag comes down in the red zone.
Another one on Buena. Buena has had a tough time getting their players in and out here on this opening drive. They just got called for a legal substitution, which is very rare on the defense, and they're going to have to take a timeout here.
When you look at this Buena team, I mean, with Coach Bryce Burnbeck, he's the interim head coach. They've gone through some changes down there. This is a team that lost 3/4 of their team from last year to graduation. And that's a great thing and all. And they had a great-looking team last year. I remember being at a game last year when they played Marcos Deniza, and it was an absolute shootout. But this is a team that's kind of going through the beginning of a new era. They lost a great senior class. They have a couple guys that have come up through the ranks to get things started. But Bryce Burbeck has taken over as head coach and totally revamping this team. He's changed their offense, as we talked about throughout this game quite a bit, from a spread formation to an I formation. He's changed the defense from a traditional 4-3 to a split 6, which you see a lot at the college level, especially in the Pac-12. I know there's some Pac-12 schools that like to run the split 6 because you see so many spread offenses.
Yep.
It's the college version of trying to stop Oregon and the Rich Rodriguez offense. The split 6 has been designed to try to stop that. And Burnbeck, knowing that and facing so many teams that run the spread in his section, has changed his defense to do that and better suit their team.
This one's a botched snap. It's going to go through the hands of Petro, and it is dropped for a big-time loss back across the 20 to the 21 and went right through Petlow's hands. It was a pretty good snap. Just went right through his hands.
Yeah, and Angel Herrera looked like a monster coming out of that backfield. Once he saw that loose ball, he wanted it. And that ball moves them all the way back to the 18-yard line where it'll be 2nd and goal from there.
So Pretlow now with split backs. Nobody to hand it to. They just took off down the field, and he's going to be sacked for a loss.
It's Francisco Dorami that time that read that right from the start and got into the backfield. This is good. This is good work for Buena too. We talked about how this is opportunities for seniors and other players on Chandler who haven't had as much of an opportunity to get out in the field for game action to make the most of this opportunity. But this is also an important time for Buena because this is still game action. It's still an opportunity to grow and learn under their scheme, under their new interim head coach.
Pretlow back to pass, and it's picked off. Here comes Buena down the near sidelines. He's got a lot of space in front of him, and he's going to go the distance. Deontay Youngblood, I don't think he's going to be caught, and he won't. A pick 6. Return 75 yards for Youngblood for the touchdown, and Buena's on the board.
Nice play there by Youngblood. He stayed in his role. He stayed at the spot that he needed to be in. Didn't try to do too much, made the play, and then took it back the other way for 6. A nice play there.
Drop back into his zone, read the eyes, made the interception, and took it back for 6. So clock will still be running as we go under 6 minutes. It's 49-6 now as Buena has just had a pick 6 to get on the board. Kick is up. And it's good. 49-7 in favor of the Wolves still. But Buena gets on the board with a nice play by Deontay Youngblood.
Yeah, the senior, 5'11", 163 pounds. This is one of the leaders on the Buena side of the defense. He makes a lot of plays for Coach Bernbeck, and as mentioned literally right before that play, we talk about the fact that this is an opportunity for Buena to learn more about themselves, to learn more about their scheme. Don't look at the score. Know your role, know your job, execute what you're supposed to do each and every time, each and every play, and that's a good example of them doing just that and making a play out of it.
Still got their first team defense in there. Youngbloods played all night, as well as the other 10 that were on the field at that time for the Colts. So, like I said, good exposure, good experience for them. And probably good competition as well for Chandler's second and third teams here. So 3 guys back to receive this kick for Chandler. And it's off into the air.
This running clock just throwing me for a whirl. It's already under 5 minutes left in this third
yeah.
quarter.
That's Ice doing. That's a nice move at the 25-yard line. Gets to the 30. He's still on his feet, pumping his legs. They're going to mark him at the 30 for forward progress. But I think that was Isidou who had a nice move at the 25-yard line to make a man miss and kept running.
That's a guy earning some playing time right there. Isidou, third-string running back, getting an opportunity to play on special teams. If you can get the job done at special teams, you win. You get a gold star from a coaching staff. If you want to put effort in like that, you want to make plays like that, coaches will remember that in any game, regardless of who your competition is. They'll remember that you gave that kind of effort on a special teams play, and you'll be rewarded later on in the season.
So Pretlow will go back into the gun again. He takes over at quarterback. Split backs as they now send the tight end in motion or the slot receiver over to the far side. They hand it coming into the near side. He's got a block, and he's got the corner. It's Isidou. Here he goes, 40, 35, 30, makes a man miss into the open field, and he's tackled from behind down to the 20-yard line.
Frankie Isidou rocking that number 27 I know that you love so much.
That is very true. I can't
Very
remember you
good,
remember that.
Very good. Of course I remember that. But what you like to see out of Isidou right there is finding the edge and then turning up the heat. And that's a guy that, like I said, on the special teams and now on offense, making plays, you'll get rewarded if you can make plays like that.
He checks out of the ball game, and Bretlow takes the snap. Little miscommunication again in the backfield. Gets it to his man somehow. I think that was Pinto. And he was dropped for a loss of 9 on the play. It's going to be second and long now for the Wolves. Some miscommunication here on the zone reads.
And I think Bretlow just needs to calm down a little bit, know and understand what he's doing, and just execute the offense. He's getting a little bit ahead of himself right now. Just see that ball into your hands and make some plays.
Here's the give around the end for the big man, pulling defenders. He's still not down. A nice run there by Prentice Anthony, the big running back. Or was it Anthony Clay? It might have been Clay on the run, the 5'9", 190-pounder, and it would not go down. Very relentless runner.
Yeah, good-looking run right there for Clay. Hard run, and made something out of nothing as there was good defense there, good pursuit on the edge.
Here's another
Buena.
give around the edge, and he's got a hole, and he'll take it in for a touchdown. 26, who isn't even on the roster. So a non-roster invitee walks in for 6, and it's 55-7 in favor of Chandler.
And that's good. That's
under a minute to go now, 56-7. The running clock, as you said, has really sent us for a time loop here as we're approaching very fastly approaching the end of the third quarter. Chandler, by the time they kick it off, this will be the last play of the quarter. We'll move into the fourth with a 56-7 score.
They might not get off the kick before
the horn sounds here. I don't think they're going to let him kick it off.
They're just going to let him switch sides right
Yep.
now and kick it off.
Yep, they're going to have him switch sides. I will say it is still a pretty packed house here on the Chandler side. Very few fans have left, at least in front of us. I think they want to soak in every moment that this Wolves team is going to give them this year, because they came in with some very high hopes, and they're hoping to that those dreams come true, as this Chandler Wolves team is in very good position. As we said, on paper, probably right now the best team in the state. Mountain Point might have something to say about it in 2 weeks, but right now the Wolves are the team to beat.
Just looking around, we mentioned halftime scores. Hamilton up 19-3 over Brophy. Halftime at Desert Ridge, they're on top of Gilbert 24-7. A lot of news coming down around the Gilbert program, but they're still out there playing on Friday night. Find themselves a little bit of an uphill climb. How about a smaller school game? 17-0 Northwest Christian over Scottsdale Christian.
Oh, wow.
Solid game right there. As we continue to look around here, and we got a tie between Shadow Ridge and Sunrise Mountain. The game is tied at 17. Two good programs out on the west side. I actually was able to catch Sunrise Mountain last week. Their quarterback, just a sophomore, Chase Cord. This kid is going to be a rising star in this state. Very talented, very poised, runs deceivingly well. I really like what I saw out of him last week. He's going to be a great player when all is said and done. And he's got his older brother to throw to on the team, too, as a starting wide receiver.
I have been hearing really, really good things. I would love to go watch that kid play, because I've heard he is definitely, as you said, one of the rising young stars in Arizona high school football, which has just in general, Jared, vastly improved over the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years now. I mean, not to say that it was ever bad. That was never the case. But right now, the depth of talent that is coming out of this state, and now, especially, which is huge, staying in state. That was really the next big hump. There was always talent here, but it would those few big prospects would go out of state. The USCs, the Oregons, the big Pac-12 schools. Now Rich Rodriguez, Todd Graham, their programs a little bit more established. They're keeping them in-house.
Yeah, but you look at Bryce Perkins, arguably the top quarterback in the state this season, going to ASU. The top offensive lineman in the state, Keenan Walker, headed to U of A. When you have the top players at those positions staying in state, it sets a precedent for other kids to follow suit. And you have to credit both coaches for doing a great job of making it a point of interest to keep these guys in state, to build their programs as the benchmark of having these in-state guys being some of the faces of their program, and trying to make the most of that. And I think that a lot of high school prepsters around the state are really taking notice to that.
Christian Kirk still has ASU on his list. He's probably the #1 prospect right now out of the state.
Maybe even the West Coast, too. I mean, did you see what he did last week?
Unbelievable.
Don't tell that kid that he hasn't done anything yet until he's beaten Chaparral. Wow. And he even had a 70-something yard punt return called back.
Yep.
And that doesn't include the 300-something net yards that he had for the game. So he is a special, special kid.
We've seen some good ones the last 4 or 5 years now. You always try and the comparisons always come out, especially DJ being from Saguaro, DJ Foster. I said the 4 probably best running backs I saw live. He's kind of a combination of DJ and Kadeem. Kadeem obviously went on to great college success as this one's thrown up in the air. A nice catch by Ortega to go high point the ball, and that's good for a gain of 20 on the play. Nice catch there by Ortega.
My favorite question to ask coaches before we do these games is, who is the guy on your team that you can't win without, but they don't get nearly enough pub or attention that they deserve? And Coach said Giovanni Ortega. He said he works his tail off. He is a yes, sir kid. He is a go-to kid when they need him, and he's always come through for them, and that's an example right there of him going up to the high point of getting the football and making a play.
Bennett's back in there, and he'll let one loose for Williams down the far side. Incomplete. A nice play there by the Chandler corner. Bennett now back in the game. Again, they had that one-on-one coverage with a lot of green grass to throw to. It was a good throw by Bennett. Gave his guy a chance. Williams just couldn't come down with it.
I think the problem is he's just not leading Williams enough. That is a nice throw. It's a throw that gives Williams an opportunity to make a play. But when you have all that space in front of you with so many men in the box, when you run that power formation, you got to lead them a little bit more. And that's something that Bennett's going to have to work on a little bit over the course of this season.
As we are now under 9 minutes to go, Bennett with a play fake. Oh, he did hand it off. And he's swarmed by some Wolves back at the line of scrimmage. It will be 3rd and long. Ben Gabrielson alongside the voice of the Arizona Rattlers, Jared Cohen, here from Austin Field, Chandler High School. Week 2 of Arizona high school football action. Chandler looking to go 2-0, up 56-7 right now. Under 8.5 to go here in the 4th.
Tell me, Ben, your first time seeing Chandler this season, a player that you maybe wasn't on your radar at the start of the game that really perked your interest over the course of this one.
Well, I hadn't seen him play live, but I know that he had a very good game last week, and I watched him a lot tonight, was J.W. Windsor, their nose guard, somebody that they really talked about as kind of being that central point in the defense, the guy that's going to be able to eat up blocks but also make some plays in the middle of the field. He did a phenomenal job tonight, but I was also very impressed, we've mentioned it many times, the push that the Chandler offensive line got. Very physical up front. That right side, I've mentioned it before, Woodyard and Menlove finished blocks very well tonight. So those were 2 things that I was very impressed with in the trenches. The front 7 and front 4 for Chandler looked very good.
And you mentioned J.W. Windsor and his partner in crime in the nose guard position is Thomas Chisholm. Those guys have extremely important roles on this Chandler defense because we mentioned the 9 new players on that side of the ball. They are replacing 2 Division I guys in Cruz Flores and Jordan Hoyt. Cruz Flores up at NAU, Jordan Hoyt out at UC Davis. 2 Division I guys that you have to come and replace. Coach Iguano talked about how he's thrown Windsor and Chisholm into the fire, basically, and really quick that they've responded, and that's been one of the biggest positives on their defense. They play that exact same role, And he mentioned for Windsor in particular, he's just got a motor. He's got that big butt that they can stuff right in the middle of lines. And he's just a guy that is very knowledgeable of the game. He mentioned that guys that play that position aren't quite all there. And the fact that those guys aren't means that they're great nose guards.
It's very true. It is very true. Bennett with a nice keeper up the middle for a gain of 6. 2nd and 4 now inside of Chandler territory. Bennett with the snap. Looking to throw far side to Williams. It went... He did make the catch. He held on. It looked like it went in and out of his hands, but Williams held on for a first down. And Buena is on the move now, down 56-7. Timeout now taken by Buena as we approach under 6 to go here in the fourth. 56-7, 1st and 10 on the Chandler 33.
I was really anxious to see Colby Taylor play for the first time in person. I watched him. You hear about him because of his lineage with his older brothers Kendall and Kerry, who have made NFL careers possible and were great standout Pac-12 players. And with Colby, just the name itself brings quite a bit of stigma with it. And you see him out at spring practice, and he looks the part. He's fundamentally sound. He's built much more bigger than a sophomore should be. But you want to see him out in the field, and he made some big-time plays. You saw his speed when he's out in space. You saw the dance moves that he can do to make other guys, defensive players, fall over. I was very intrigued to see him in action. He stepped in, play that X position for N'Keal Harry, who was suspended tonight, so he had more of an expanded role than he did last week against Centennial, which means more touches, more playing time, and he took advantage.
Had some nice runs, one that was called back, but he did have some nice runs. Here's a throw by Bennett to the far side. I think that's to his quarterback mate Hale. Yeah, Bennett to Hale here on the connection. For a nice gain of 7, and it's 2nd and short.
Yeah, it's always dangerous when you go with 2 quarterback sets. And kind of, no matter what the score of the game is, it makes your defense be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are there 2 quarterbacks out there? And nothing too fancy that time, but it definitely will keep you on the edge of your seat.
Here's Bennett back to throw. Tough ball behind Ortega. He had him up the seam. Threw it a little bit behind him, and Chandler was able to knock the ball away.
Credit Giovanni Ortega. He has taken some hits in this game, and he has popped right back up each and every time. There are 3, that being the 3rd that I could think of over the course of this game. And every single time, you don't see him laying there on the field. You don't see him thinking about what's happened. He just pops right back up. He'll just feel it tomorrow, that's all.
Get some ice packs.
Get it some icy hot.
He will be sore tomorrow. Here's Bennett under center. 3rd and 4 from the 29. The toss to the near side. Makes the man miss. Nice run by Cody Shear. And he'll pick up the first down with now 4 minutes to go in the game. So if I had to tell you right now, I know it's week 2 and all the time, no matter what level of football you're talking about, you always kind of jump the gun in terms of, how teams looked in early on, week 1, maybe action. But if I were to tell you right now that you had to pick a winner or somebody that you think would emerge and become the Division I champion, who are you looking at right now? You looking at this Chandler team?
There's no way you can leave them out of the conversation. They are just way too talented. When you still have to see Chandler get it done against the big names, against the big teams. They showed they could beat Hamilton last year. They did it for the first time in school history, but they couldn't do it that second time. They got away with what made them successful, especially down the stretch in the first time that those 2 teams meet. They got away from that when they played them in the playoffs. The only way to be given that nod is for you to get it done on the field. They have it on paper. You mentioned that at the top of the broadcast. On paper, they might have the most talent of any team in the state. They have the quarterback that knows what he's doing. They have the running back that you give him an inch and he'll run for a mile. And you have maybe the best wide receiving core in the state, bar none. But you still have to get it done on Friday nights. You can't rule out Mountain Point. Yes, they lost a lot of great seniors and their starting quarterback, but this kid, Garvin Alston, who took over as the starting quarterback, he can sling it. He's a baseball player, so he can really throw, and he can get some guys to make some plays out in space. Plus, they got some great linebackers that have come back in DeAndre Churchwill and Austin Cronin, who were big playmakers for their defense last year, who are back. Plus, on the offensive side, Mountain Point might have the best offensive line in the state, led by Nick Carmen at the left tackle spot. And then you can't rule out Hamilton. Every year, teams, people want to rule out Hamilton because it seems to be the year where they don't do it. They wanted to do that last year. You're right, they didn't do it, but they were still there for the state
to the
championship
title game.
So every year people want to rule them out. Every year they figure out a way to get back, and every year they figure out a way to compete. So you can't rule them out until they're out. So as much as I want to say this is the team or these are the teams, still have Hamilton waiting around there. And there's some other good teams around the state that I'm definitely interested in. Pinnacle has the best quarterback in the state next to Bryce Perkins and Brian Lewerke, who by himself makes them a top 5 team in the state. They also have some guys that have worked their way up the ranks. Westview has their great rushing attack with Jalen Johnson. At the Division I level, there are a lot of talented teams, but those 3, Mountain Point, Chandler, Hamilton, Desert Ridge, too, is another great team.
And don't forget about Basha.
And Basha, who's really made a strong point to say that they're not the team to shy over as well. The depth that you talk about. I don't remember the last time, starting last season, that there was this much depth in the Division I level, where there were 4 teams that you could mention and you could say, you know what, I can see them doing it.
I don't think that's the case in Division III.
Division III, you can crown them. They look like Division III. The Saguaro SaberCats played their first game much like the Seahawks played their first game last night, where it was just like, whoa.
These guys came to play.
And for some reason, I'm involved on the new Arizona High School Football.com, the AZ High School Football website. I'm involved in the media poll, and for some reason, someone had the nerve to not vote them a number 1. They were not a unanimous number 1 ranking in the media poll.
I did not see that. Wow.
So I don't know who it was. I know the other people involved in the poll, and I didn't find the need to call them out, but we'll have them eat crow. You still got to play the games, though.
Yep.
Queen Creek is a good team. Williamsfield in your neck of the woods has a lot of good talent.
Yep.
Can't rule them all out. You still got to play the games.
Man.
But that Saguaro team would compete with just about every Division I team out there. I mean, they don't have the depth that Chandler and Mountain Point and Hamilton have, but they have the athleticism to where they could probably compete with them pretty well.
But wouldn't that be fun? Last year, go see Sal Point take on Mountain Point at the end of the year, see what happens. Just saying. Well, that'll do it. The clock strikes 0. 56-10 is the final score here from Austin Field. A result that started off the way it ended. Chandler came out, made their statement, and they're on to the next one. Chandler Wolves victorious here. They go to 2-0, the number 1 team in Division I right now. Thanks for joining us here. Ben Gabrielson alongside Jaron Cohen. It's been great. Hopefully we get another game pretty soon, my man.
Absolutely. We'll have more. Sports360az.com, Chandler Schools Live. We'll have plenty more broadcasts throughout the season.
Have a good night. We'll see you next week.